Good day, everyone. I'm in Ranana this morning celebrating the Brit of a great nephew of Mazel Tov to our family. We are sponsored this month by Chaim Fuld, the Elish with their beloved son Hillel, Ol Shalom Ben Yaakov Sheyichya, and as good for the son Benjamin, fighting with our soldiers in Lebanon. Let's protect all of them. Sponsored by Linda Mark Grunbaum, Elish but Mark's father, Reuven Ben Chaim Ol Shalom, and sponsored by Chaim Joe Schwartz, celebrating the birth of their grandson, Gabriel Tzvi Pentiliad. So I'm learning, as I mentioned yesterday, the Sefer Eim Abanim Smecha, cover to cover, the first edition of Rav Yisachar Shlomo Tachtal, Hashem Yikam Damo, and the genius is overwhelming. He wrote this in the heart of the Holocaust without any svarim to consult, and his mastery of the sources in every area of Torah is literally incredible. And from time to time, he'll say, I don't have the source in front of me, I have no svarim, but still the voluminous nature of his knowledge is breathtaking. He mentioned at a certain point, famous Rashi at the in Parshat Nitzavim, where the Torah says, "V'shov Hashem Elokecha shvutcha," that God's going to return our captives. And Rashi says there that the day of Kibbutz Goliot, the day when all Jews return to the land of Israel, it's uvakoshi, it'll be difficult. Ki'ilu hu atzmo tzarich liot ochez biyodo mamish ish ish mimkomot, as if God has to take each person by the hand and bring them back to the land of Israel. Why is it so difficult? So he quotes the Apta Rebbe in his commentary on Pesach, who quotes a Medrash. Medrash is in Medrash Shochatov on Tehillim Kuv Zayin. And the Medrash says three things, three analogies, the Jewish people leaving Mitzrayim. One, Keshem Shatzipor Nituna Biyarat Sayad, just like a bird is held captive in the hand of the trapper, so too, the Jewish people were sunk, trapped in Egypt. Second, Rav Acha said that just like the Jewish people, like an uber betoch me'er shel behema, like a fetus in the womb of an animal, and the midwife or the shepherd has to reach in and pull out the fetus. Second. Third, Kashem Zahavi Azeh Poshet Yado V'Natal Zav Mekur, just like a goldsmith has to reach in to the urn, the furnace, in order to bring out the gold, so too Hashem reached in like the Zahavi to bring out the gold of Klal Yisrael. So you have three analogies of the Jewish people in Mitzrayim: to a bird, to a fetus, and to gold. What's the difference? So he explains, according to the Apta Rebbe, that there are three classes of Jews that left Egypt: tzaddikim, beinonim, and rishon. The righteous, the intermediates, and the wicked. And he explains as follows: a bird is really has no connection, no inherent connection to the trapper. Obviously, he doesn't want to be trapped. So therefore, the bird, when he's freed, just goes on his way. It means these Jews, the tzaddikim, were not trapped in Egypt. They did not find themselves uh, allured to the culture. And so once the trapper opened his hand, they left. The Beinonim, like the Uber is part of the mother, but not really part of the mother. It means this group, the Beinonim, were somewhat influenced by the society, but once the midwife, so to speak, HaKadosh Baruch Hu reaches in and grabs them, so then they're free. The Rishon are different. The Rishon, those who feel an innate connection to Mitzrayim, to the exile, they just can't break away. That's like the gold in the fire. The only way the gold emerges from the smelter is if the goldsmith reaches in and grabs it out and then fashions a fancy item out of it. That's the Rishon. And he explains that in context, he sees so many Jews are just enamored. They're burnt in the furnace of the exile. They can't break away. And what happens is God sends these messages to them. And the context is, of course, he writes about there's so many Jews in his part of the world, Central Europe, that were completely assimilated, that saw themselves mainly as Germans. 1935, this is written 7 years later, Nuremberg laws, they tracked down second, third generation Jews in order, the mishling, 1/8, 1/16, the slightest amount of Jewish blood rendered one liable to the persecutions of the Nazis. Try to escape, can't. And that's the pasuk in Hosea, the Haftarah for Parshat Bamidbar, that instead of people saying to you, Lo ami atem, you're not really part of the Jewish people. Yemer lahem b'nei El Chai. No, you're really part of the people, the children of the living God. Those three. The truth is, it's not so simple to say that tzaddikim are the ones, they do all the mitzvah, they don't him, they have kacha kacha, risham, nothing at all. Because in terms of connection to the exile, it's not really so. You have a lot of people who are not really observant to the way we understand them, and yet they felt that they had no connection to the exile, no life there. They wanted to return to the land of Israel. Conversely, you have many people who have a big kippot rugot, and they have long black coats, and they do all the mitzvot, but they feel that they are embedded in the exile and cannot break away. So it's not entirely clear, even our standards, who's the tzaddik, who's the rasha, who's the Benoni, who's the bird, and who's the uber, the fetus, and who's the gold. That we don't know. That's up to Kadosh Baruch Hu. What he does say, after this week's Hedra, is that despite the pshat that we have, that God will send Vinatati Negat Sarat Beveit Eretz Achuzatchem, it's not the land of Israel, he says. Wamshat, wherever you're living, if you can't break away, that's when God sends the nega. You don't really belong here. The exile is foreign to the Jewish soul, and therefore we look for the return of every Jew. Have a good day.